The Stasi, the notorious East German secret police, had a string of its own jails, like this one in Potsdam. Dieter Drewitz spent 18 months here as an inmate. His offense was sending 2 letters to a West Berlin radio station in 1966. The man who put him behind bars was Manfred Grützner, one of the most zealous prosecutors representing the communist regime. But he has faced no repercussions.
So, what did they do after the regime fell? They appointed him to the commission that dealt with former political prisoners. Can you imagine? They made the poacher the gamekeeper.
It's one of many such cases in the state of Brandenburg. New legislation is up for debate in the German parliament that would allow public authorities to check the Stasi records of its senior staff. Brandenburg abstained from the vote in the second chamber because of disagreement between local Social Democrats and their coalition partners from the Left Party, which evolved out of the old East German Communist Party.
This would enable us to examine senior staff, which is important in the case of the police because we've made a lot of new appointments as part of the restructuring of the force in Brandenburg. We want to be sure regarding people's backgrounds, otherwise it could be harmful to the police's image.
Which would hardly be unprecedented. Brandenburg has seen a series of scandals, such as this former Stasi informer who joined the police without ever being checked. But the Interior Minister is being challenged by the Regional Justice Minister from the Left Party. Volkmar Schöneborg opposes any investigations into judges and prosecutors, but he won't comment as to why. Brandenburg has a growing reputation for stubbornness on this front, much to the frustration of Ulrike Popper. She's Brandenburg's first Stasi file commissioner.
As a Democrat, you have to respect other opinions. But there are a lot of people like me who believe we have to seize this opportunity now. I know all decisions are also reversible, and maybe we'll see some change in political will in this regard.
But that optimism is muted among a lot of people who spent years in jail here. Stasi victims know that Brandenburg has a tradition of dragging its heels.
The whole process was set in gear by the state premier Manfred Stolper. I remember how he called Brandenburg a mini East Germany. He meant it in a positive sense, but now we see it only in a negative sense. It's a development that's been ongoing, and I can't explain how Matthias Platzek could continue it.
Matthias Platzek is the current state premier. We made repeated requests for an interview, but received no reply. Still, it's an issue that's not going away. Judge Irina Schäfer is known for a string of jail sentences she gave to people trying to leave communist East Germany. And her job after reunification? Presiding over compensation claims for Stasi victims. Only recently was she reassigned to other cases. Heide-Laura Rutz belonged to a local group of people in Jena who wanted to leave the East. The White Circle group publicly protested by wearing white, gathering in circles, and attaching white ribbons to their car aerials. For that behavior, Heide-Laura was arrested in 1983. She served a 15-month jail sentence, and her children were taken away from her. The judge in her case got a license to practice as a lawyer after reunification in Brandenburg.
I
don't understand why judges and prosecutors who sentenced innocent people back then should not be checked, or why they feel there isn't such a need. They're intelligent people, some of them. And if they find a job, then that's to be welcomed. But they shouldn't be given a position to pronounce judgment on us, or you or anybody else.
Roland Jahn was forcibly exiled from East Germany for opposing the regime. After becoming a TV journalist, he covered the legacy of the Stasi after the fall of the Berlin Wall. He's now head of the government agency overseeing the Stasi archives.
There's a need for transparency and openness. It's important in a democratic society that people know about those in senior positions and who used to be part of state oppression. That's why it's important that these inspections take place.
Except they don't.
Okay, but it's at the discretion of the individual ministries and ministers to decide. And they have to take the political responsibility for that.
At the Justice Ministry in Brandenburg, the policy seems to be one of silence and hoping that the files just gather dust. But what explains this apparent uncompromising attitude?
Perhaps the composition of the population is a bit different. The state surrounds Berlin, so there used to be a lot of Communist Party schools and military academies here, a lot of institutions that supported the government.
In the 22 years since the fall of the Berlin Wall, there is still no justice for the political prisoners who serve time in Stasi jails. And it doesn't look like they'll get the answers they want anytime soon.